You're good.
We ready? All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. This is the first meeting of the Fiscal Court in the Fiscal Court chamber for about the last 2 months, I believe. Maybe kind of lost track of how long it's been, but it does feel good to be home. We do have a few extra things around us here today to try to provide security and safety for everyone in relation to the virus, and I hope we're able to do that. I thank everyone who's been here coming here today, and we have our audience members all socially distanced, so no one's sitting too close. So if you're able now, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you have a cell phone with you today, please turn it to off or vibrate. We also have a new fiscal court clerk today, Denise Clark, and before we begin, I'd like to ask for a motion to appoint Denise Clark as our fiscal court clerk.
So moved. Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, Denise, please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Harrison. Here. Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logston.
Here.
Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions to the today's agenda? Sir? Magistrate.
I'd like to have a discussion about magistrate communications, because we seem to be having problems with it.
All right. I guess we'll put that down under, you want to do that last after, okay.
What letter is that?
That would be after personnel items. I guess we'd call that item J, magistrate communications. All right. Anyone else? Seeing no one, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I'd ask Ms. Clark to please read the minutes from our last meeting, which was June 29th. Is that correct? Yes.
June 29th, 2020. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a special meeting at 2 p.m. via video teleconference and aired on Spectrum Cable Channel 184 due to social distancing requirements amid the COVID-19 pandemic, with County Attorney John Carter, Judge Executive David Vogel, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Albert Harrison, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Tice to approve the agenda as submitted, removing John Black Center meeting room expansion. Motion carried 7-1-1. Magistrate Likens voted no. Judge Vogel abstained. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the minutes from June 16, 2020. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment. Oldham County Health Department Director Teresa Gamsky provided an update on COVID-19. Updates are posted on the Oldham County Health Department's website. The following sealed bids for Dispatch Simulcast Microwave Network were opened and read aloud for the record. End-to-End Technologies, $99,871.90. ERS Wireless, $71,563.51. Mass Tech Network Solutions, $225,000. RCS Communications, $60,697. Tilson Technology Management, Inc., $192,496. TNSS Global, $95,000. Motion was made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the budget transfers for fiscal year 1920 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Contract agreements resolutions. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Likens to authorize the judge executive to sign the service agreement with Dell Botanical Gardens relating to a rain garden for the Curry's Fork Watershed Program as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Loxton and seconded by Magistrate Likens to authorize the judge executive to sign the cleaning contract amendment with Modern Maintenance LLC relating to COVID-19 cleaning protocols in the AOC building as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Committee recommendations reports. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Loxton to award the salt bid to Maxi Salt for $78 per ton delivered as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell upon the recommendation of the county engineer to release the $62,078 erosion control bond relating to the Rawlings Group parking expansion as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Personnel actions, dispatch. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Dye to reinstate Megan Engel as telecommunicator 2 at $20.19 an hour, effective 7/12/2020 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Executive's Office. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to accept the resignation of Sheila Fair, effective 7/10/2020, and hire Denise Clark as Administrative Services Coordinator at $20 an hour, effective 6/30/2020. Motion carried 7-2. Magistrate Greenwell and Magistrate Logston voted no. And meeting adjourned. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 3:01 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from June 29th. There were any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Time now for public comment. That's the time during the meeting when we accept comments from the community, from anyone who would like to address the fiscal court. Is there anyone here today who would like to take advantage of that opportunity? Saying no, and I'll close the public comment and go on to the first item on our agenda today, and that is a bid opening for a courtroom video recording system. If you're a person who's watched this broadcast with any degree of frequency, you know we've complained from time to time about the fact that our system has been out here the better part of 20 years and that we're trying to get updated with a new system that'll be more efficient and not break down. Our video producer, Jay McDowell, has managed to piece things together as things have broken over the years, but we're running out of the availability of repair or replacement parts, and we need to move on. So we have received, how many bids do we have? Just one bid. All right, this is Justice AV Solutions from Middletown Industrial Boulevard. The price not to exceed $77,600 or $77,461.57. So, all right. Thank you. And I'll leave this for our county treasurer. Next item on the agenda today is another bid opening. This is for work in Buckner. We're accepting bids for construction of approximately 1,900 linear feet of proposed stormwater conveyance system along the northwest side of the Buckner Soccer Field Complex, which lies adjacent to a Grand Villa subdivision. how many did we have on this? We had one, all right. That bid is from Louisville Paving, $442,000 even. Put that there. And the next item that we're going to do is another stormwater, I believe. This is the Goshen Hills Drainage Project. And this is for approximately 1,012 linear feet of proposed stormwater conveyance system from Goshen Lane to northeast of Little Huckleberry Creek in the Goshen Hills area. How many would you have on this? Several? Four, all right. The first one is from All Terrain Paving. That is $429,345. The second bid is from Flynn Brothers, $374,596.12. The third bid is from Louisville Paving, $427,000. The fourth bid, Rotor Construction, $407,069.20. All right. Let me see where we are here. The bid award, did I go by it? Okay. The next one is for Oldham County Dispatch, PTP Simulcast Microwave Network. How many bids do we have on this? All right, this has been awarded. All right. For the bid award, you're right. Okay, let's, the bid award here is to go to our Radio Communication Systems, that's RCS, in Louisville. I believe that bid was open prior meeting, and $60,697. Is there a motion that we accept this bid award?
Judge, the Public Safety Committee met about this on Monday, and Director Keel gave us a justification document that was, I don't know if it's in this packet or not, but anyway, we did go over the bids. We received 6 bids, and it is the recommendation of the Public Safety Committee and the Dispatch Director that we go with RCS for $60,697, and I'd like to make that in the form of a motion, please.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? We did have 6 bidders on that. The bids ranged from a low of $60,697 to a high of $225,000. So, Magistrate Hawkins.
This is a question for the Public Safety Committee. We just spent, was it high 300,000s on something? Is this in conjunction with that, or is this
Yes.
something different?
It is conjunction with that.
Thank you.
Magistrate Dye.
In regards to that, how's that project that's coming? Can you advise us? Someone? I guess Tim or,
Tim Keel.
I think we let that out in January, didn't we? January, February?
There's 2 pieces to the project. This is the second piece, we'll call it. I'll let the Dispatch Director answer those questions.
The equipment that we purchased, I think, Magistrate Hawkins, to your question, was, I think, $389,000 in that range for the first leg of the project. This is the second leg, including installation. for the almost $61,000. So that's our point-to-point, which will involve OCD, the Goshen Tower, and then Kentucky Acres. And I'm sorry, Magistrate Dodd, I forgot your question.
Where are we at on the leg? We can't do leg 2 unless we got leg 1, or they,
Yes, RCS has agreed to start the project on August 3rd with a 3-month timetable, completing without any hiccups on November 3rd.
So then all phases will be completed?
Yes, ma'am.
By November the 3rd?
Hmm.
By November the 3rd, we'll have even the Motorola piece done?
Should have.
Okay,
That's the timetable.
okay.
I'll buck up and say that's the timetable. If there's a change, then I will advise the public safety. But yeah, they're confirming a completion date of actually 11/2.
No, I'm talking about this piece could be done by 11/2.
Yes.
You're saying the Motorola piece can be done simultaneously? I don't know the answer, I'm asking the question.
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
If there's a change in that, I'll bring that back to you, but it's my understanding that yes.
okay.
okay, that answers my question. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Magistrate Likens,
Does this fall in our budget or for this?
Yes, sir.
Like,
Uh,
It's actually under budget.
Yeah, I think
what
we
I wanted
budgeted
to know.
110 or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 100, yeah.
thanks.
all right, seeing no further questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a request for qualifications for helping us build a new animal control building. And we have several, I guess, that have some 12, all right, different organizations. We appreciate everyone who has responded to our request, so. The first submitter is Architectural Investments. And they are from Louisville. We need the scissors up here to get these things open. All right, this next one is from Mitchell, Allen, and Ritz, or possibly Reitz, of New Albany, Indiana.
This goes.
The next submission is from JRA Architects of Louisville, Kentucky. This next one is from Stephanie Gilbert, architect of Lexington. Number 5, Potter and Associates of Louisville. The next one is from LMH Architects of Louisville. Number 7, Ruhaus Friedenfeld Associates of Boston, Massachusetts. We also have a thumb drive with that one. The next submission is from Work Architecture and Design, Louisville. This submission's from JKS Architects of Hopkinsville. There's a lot of interest in our animal control building here.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
was JKS the architects for the jail?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
All right, BDA Architecture, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't think, in 10 years' time, we've never had another submission from anyone in New Mexico. So appreciate hearing from them today. Yeah, that's all. Denise is, you're getting a real break in, a workout here today. All right. K. Norman Berry and Associates, Louisville. This one is from Carmen Landscaping, Architecture, and Urban Planning. Pardon? Isn't that, oh, excuse me, Kramer Studio. It says Carmen right on the front here. I guess they're cooperating. This is really from Kramer Studio, and I believe that's Louisville. Is that everybody? All right. We certainly intend to build a very nice animal control facility for our county. It will be something less than $10 million, expect, but yeah. Based on all these submissions.
What are you building two?
Pardon?
Are you building two?
No, just
$10
going
million?
to build one, but it's going to be big. Yeah.
I have a question, though.
Just kidding here. Measure Hawkins.
I have a question about some of the architectural elements, and there's not a surgery room in here. Are we,
That's not a vet.
well, I know, but sometimes shelters will do surgery or low-cost surgery. Was that not on here on purpose, or? Just a question, I'm not criticizing, I'm just wondering.
No, I don't think it was left off intentionally, it's just that not, perhaps everything everyone could think of wasn't
Okay.
on the submission, but it can easily be included if we want to do that. There won't be, we've got some have some ideas based on visitations to other counties and what they're doing in the region. We saw some nice animal control facilities, and we want ours to be on a par with other good facilities in our state. So, Manager Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. When you all traveled around to these different animal control locations, were any of them design build versus an architect, or do you remember, I know Lichtenfeld can do a design build, other people can do that, and I think it lowers the cost. I'm not exactly sure about that, but I know we didn't appropriate a great amount of money for this, and I'd hate to see most of it being eaten up by architectural fees.
Right, you and me both. And, well, we felt like we needed to have some people who are experienced in animal control versus just in building in general. There are certain features about dealing with animals that are important to observe and know about, and so I think that's why we went this route. It's not that we can't do something else, so. We're not obligated to any of these companies at this point. Magistrate Likens.
Quite frankly, Judge, I think we need to look through these proposals and maybe found somebody that's already built a animal control shelter, maybe similar to what we want. There's no reason to reinvent a wheel and spend a lot of money on architectural fees, so you really can't discount any of these. Even these ones from New Mexico, they may have already built a facility that's exactly like we want, and the plans are done. So it's just a matter of finding out what their qualifications are.
Right, we will do that. Okay, thank you. And I thank all submitters who are interested in our county. The next item here has to do with a presentation from the Pee Wee Valley Fire Protection District. Chairman Joe Burkhardt and Chief Bob Hamilton are here today to tell us about their district. Appreciate them coming up to the podium, which is now has a glass shield in front of it, and appreciate you observing social distancing and wearing your masks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. First order is our tax rate. I think you have a couple of sheets, and our tax rate will continue at 10 cents for each $100 valuation on real personal property and also on motor vehicles and watercraft. That will be for 2020, 2021 tax rate. Next document is a SPGE budget summary. We show for the coming fiscal year a total projected revenue of $606,289. The appropriations of personnel, operations, and capital outlay are within 2% of 2 to 3% of last year. The admin reserves a bit higher. We're anticipating a bit higher in our contribution to our reserve fund. The only major, last year has been a relatively calm year financially. We didn't have a great deal of outlay. We did purchase a new command vehicle for the chief. That was budgeted a year or two out, but because of some maintenance needs, we reevaluated that and we decided to move forward, so that came in at 45. Okay, our projected reserve contribution will be just over 100,000, 101. Cash on hand as of the end of the fiscal year, $575,000. Our debt consists of two items. One is the balance on the construction of Station 2. We are renegotiating that contract as we speak. The original contract was for 15 years, 10 years at a fixed rate, and then after the 10th year, either pay it off or negotiate a new rate. Well, we've been in contact with the bank, and we're able to fix that rate for the balance of the 15 years. We're in the midst of doing the administrative side of it, which means about 30 days out, and we hope to have that concluded. So, and then we bought a new engine, and we're about starting the second year of a 7-year note on that. So our total debt is is under $1 million, about $946,000. Other items, our ISO rating remains a 3 in Oldham County and a 3 in Shelby County. There are a couple portions of Shelby County that are 3+, caused by the distance of the structures from a fire hydrant. Audit, utilizing their language, no reportable, identifiable internal controls related findings, no material weaknesses, nor significant deficiencies. So we're quite proud of that. We've been holding on to that for a couple of years. We hope to continue with that type of review. That's the sum of the financial. Bob, did you want to share?
It's been pretty uneventful since March. Really, I mean, I'll take some questions if anybody has any.
Right, when you say uneventful, fewer fires, fewer
Absolutely.
accidents, fewer
Well,
everything.
In Pee Wee Valley, there's been some fires in other portions of the county, but I don't know if there's been a whole lot of big fires, which is a good thing. I think across the board, all of us are experiencing and at least a 50-50 split between EMS assists and fire responses. And you know, Oldham County EMS has been pushed pretty hard here lately. I know Saturday they had to call out, and I think it was like the second or third day in a row, and I don't want to speak for them, but they had to call in off-duty people to cover because all their trucks were busy. Now, I don't have I don't know, I wasn't listening, so I don't know what they were making, but I know they had to make a car crash with us on the Grange Road.
All right, great. Well, we appreciate what you all are doing, and glad things are running well in Pee Wee. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Chief or Joe here? All right. Well, thank you for coming up. Appreciate it, and you know, stay well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm going to step out of our order here. If you give me a minute. Steve Turover's here from EMS, but I want to ask Teresa Gamsky to come up first. I know Teresa's, I don't want to say under a lot of pressure. I'll just say, I'll say your day goes fast. I know it does because you're trying to handle all our Oldham County and the coronavirus response, statistics, people, questions. So thank you for being here today, Teresa, and turn the floor over to you.
Thank you all. Excuse my attire this morning. I wasn't prepared to be in an official meeting. Been on the phone most of the day. I wanted to take this opportunity, though, because we have so many changing portions to this specific pandemic that I wanted to communicate to you as leaders in the community and also to our community. To date, right now, Oldham County is just reached over the 400 mark of cases. Again, those are confirmed cases, and so we assume that about 40% of our entire community is asymptomatic with COVID. So these confirmed cases are just the, reflects people that have actually gotten tested. To date, we have 151 inmates at KSR that are affected by COVID. I believe 13 of them are under hospital care. Approximately 44 people within that 400 total in long-term care, and the remainder of those cases are travelers and gatherers, okay? People attending social events. In that regard, a few weeks ago, we had a family host a teen party, and from that hosting, we have several families that are now ill. With our priority of getting schools open, I would really encourage families to tighten up their social network, keep those teens home. If you want your child back in school, then they need to be quarantining for the next few weeks as we look at the start of school. Also today, the governor issued a revised order concerning mass gatherings, and he has reduced that back to 10 or fewer people. We were hoping by the time we got to the end of June that perhaps the governor would double. We'd be at 100 people per gathering or 150 people. But the way the cases are going and the surge that we're seeing in Kentucky, it doesn't appear that is going to happen. So this mass gathering order is for 10 or fewer people. However, it does not impact the other entities that have their own specific guidance. So I will read this because it can be confusing. For the avoidance of doubt, this order does not apply to or otherwise restrict entities such as restaurants, in-person retail establishments, public-facing businesses, venue and event spaces, or other businesses permitted to reopen pursuant to the orders of this cabinet or another cabinet or executive orders. However, such entities must comply with the requirements set forth in those entities and their applicable orders. So in this regard, for instance, this order does not impact churches, okay? Does not impact churches and those other entities that have guidance assigned to them, so to speak. So if there's an entity that doesn't have guidance, they're welcome, to give us a call and talk that through. If you do have questions, you can find that information regarding specific entities at the state's Healthy at Work site, healthyatwork.ky.gov, is where all those orders and those special requirements for those entities are listed there. Next, I'll talk about masking really quick. I know masking can be a controversial topic, but I will tell you it is the best tool we have right now to slow the spread of this virus. Whether you're indoors or you're outdoors and you cannot be 6 feet away from another person, you need to be wearing a mask. Thank you for masking up, Team Oldham. The next topic I'll cover is a little bit about testing. The health department has resumed testing this week, but again, we have an overwhelming response for testing, and we do have some expertise and advice to share. If you have been in a gathering and you think you have been exposed to someone, so you went to a picnic on Saturday and later on you hear Aunt Susie has been diagnosed with COVID, your best time period to seek a test is approximately 5 to 7 days after you've been exposed. Because if you were exposed on Saturday and you get a test on Monday, most likely that viral load is not sufficient enough to show evidence with that test. So we recommend that you wait 5 to 7 days to be tested. We also know that when you do have COVID, if you're going to show symptoms, the average time for those symptoms to appear is usually about 5 to 7 days as well. We have seen people that have developed symptoms on day 14 of their quarantine, or what we've kind of seen it across the board. But with the demand in testing, if you think you've been exposed, please wait 5 to 7 days before you solicit a test. Your test will probably be much more accurate because we've had people that have tested negative. A few days later, they start showing symptoms. And again, it's that timeline of that incubation period of that virus. What we are recommending right now to determine evidence of disease is what we call a PCR test, or molecular nasal swab test. That test is our most dependable and definitive test right now. We do see people going to Frankfurt and other locations to get these rapid tests. The rapid tests are very accurate when on the positive side. They're less trustworthy on the negative side, and usually it has to do when that viral load is peaking in that person and when that testing is occurring there. And then last but not least, again, our priority is to get in-person school open. If you know families that are hosting teen gatherings, as we have received numerous social media notices this week that there's a large teen event planned for the South Oldham High School community this weekend, I would really urge the community to keep their teenagers home. Most people have the attitude that this virus is no big deal, and for probably the predominant number of people will have a mild case, but there are hundreds after that that have significant lung damage or hospitalization. So again, this virus has been a challenge. It's been a challenge for us to figure out, especially when you can have this virus and be asymptomatic. It's very difficult, to monitor and control in that way. So if if you've been around anybody, you want to make sure that you're wearing that mask, keeping those distance, and washing those hands after you've been around other folks. We have had quite a few questions about our quarantine and isolation process. Quarantine and isolation is a long-standing public health strategy in the way we have controlled and mitigated disease over the past 50 years. For instance, TB. We have approximately, in a good year, maybe 5 cases of TB in our community. There's pages and pages of regulation and public health law that are associated with just that one disease. We monitor and we observe someone taking medication for that disease. That's how much oversight is on that disease, regarding that disease. This disease is a little bit different, but we still have those public health laws and strategies in place. I know it appears the government is overreaching, but we're overreaching, I guess if that is your assumption, is that we are accountable individually, but our collective impact and how we respond to this virus is what is going to position our community to be in a healthier place in the next few months. So if you have any questions about quarantining, isolation, any of those things, please feel free to email me and I will be glad to provide you those resources or explanations, at your convenience. Judge, any questions for me?
And Magistrate Hounds.
Yes, sir.
Teresa, I want to give you kudos because we had a situation that you're familiar with, and your folks jumped in and helped us get some testing and stuff done at the fire department, and greatly appreciate that. I made this comment to Leanne, and the only thing I can say that it'd be great, and I know it's difficult, time is of the essence, is communication back to the public. I tell people to go to your Facebook page because that's the best form of communication. They're getting it from you and not from me. I don't want to misspeak on your behalf, but I think you guys are doing a fantastic job in returning phone calls. I mean, I've called a couple of times, and you've always called me back, or Leanne's called me back and given me, may not be the answer I want, but I've at least gotten an answer, and I do appreciate that. But, and if you could just turn up the communication just a hair, I know that's difficult, and if we can help in any way, let us know.
I will take you up on that, absolutely. I know communication has been, especially for the past 2 weeks, have been kind of a challenge for us. We've been onboarding about 10 additional staff, which is like having 10 new kids in your house. And so that's a lot more supervisory, a lot more oversight. Those people do not have a public health background, so they're coming in and we're training. They're going through electronic training, and then we're providing them guidance. To date, all of our additional staff coming in that are paid by the state, the Federal CARES Act, are all all Oldham County residents. So they are people from our community that live here, established here, and that kind of thing. So if we call, please answer our call, because it's difficult enough to reach a positive case, but then when we start reaching out to those contacts that they may have had 48 hours before they became infectious, a lot of times those contacts do not want to cooperate, or even the positive case doesn't want to give us those contacts. So that means that this disease went unchecked within another group, and that's how it's spreading. So if you're not participating with contact tracing, you really have an advantage to participate, because we are monitoring and texting and communicating to you every day, ensuring that your symptoms haven't changed. If you spiked a fever, we have access to clinical guidance of our nurse practitioner. If you're questioning when to seek care, we've seen that a lot lately, where people did not want to engage with us and they became sick. And because of that lack of engagement and communication, they sought emergency care too late, and are now possibly, seeking hospital care in that regard. So I really encourage folks, we're not contact tracing for overreach. This is the way public health has always operated. Your information is considered private health information. We keep that confidentially. We're bound by HIPAA. And so we do protect that information and keep it confidential. If you want your case and your information confidential, then I would encourage you to cooperate with the contact tracers. Because if you do not cooperate, then that information will no longer remain confidential, because I will steer that information to Mr. Carter for a quarantine order if we should need to. To date, we have not needed to do that, but we definitely have the authority to do that if we need so to protect the community on that. So thank you for your question. Any other questions?
Measure Greenwell.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Teresa, what is the average turnaround time on getting results back from tests these days?
It depends. Right now, the health department is using a lab called Gravity Labs, and they are contracted through the state of Kentucky, so the Department of Public Health is paying for those labs. We're having pretty good turnaround right now. We're getting them back in about 48 hours. But the other numerous avenues that people can get tested can be extremely frustrating. We have heard right now that certain labs are, 7 to 14 days behind. That does us no good.
Right.
We've already passed that limit of quarantine. So we're seeing situations like that where we've kind of missed our opportunity there. Additionally, we're seeing folks get tested in labs that they're not following up with the clients. And so testing is a huge, complicated barrier for us to overcome right now. I know that the state is continuing to expand those testing sites. Kroger, CVS's, if you look on the state website, there's a lot of different locations there as well.
Thank you.
Yes, you can see all different types of reporting. We're even having issues where we are not getting the labs in a timely manner to confirm. Someone will call us and say, Aunt Judy is positive. Well, we don't have the confirmed labs, so we can't initiate a quarantine order or isolate, order, provide assistance to that person. So that definitely has been a barrier there.
Do you have any idea what life might look like on a school bus this fall?
School bus.
Hauling kids?
I understand you're going to be loading from front to back. Is that right?
I don't know. Haven't heard yet.
Yes. I would urge you to go on the KDE guidance. The document's called a flagship document that is a collaboration between KDE and Department of Public Health. All the expectations are in that document. I would urge every school staff member, every school parent to go to KDE's site and read through some of those documents in that regard. In that frame, I believe parents will be requested to attest that they check their child's temperature before they load it on the bus, right, in a perfect world. And then also those temperatures will be checked again once that bus arrives to the school facility.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
On that note, Mr. Greenwell, I will add that on July 23rd, that KDE is hosting a virtual town hall about school openings. It's July 3rd from 2 to 4. It's open to the public, so anyone that wants to listen in, a lot of teachers and school staff will be on there. They have submitted, previous questions to that, so for the general public, if they would like more information about the school starting, that would be a good place to kind of listen in.
July 23rd from 2 to 4?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so Teresa, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. Continued success and
All right. Thank you,
stay
sir.
well. That's what we're all trying to do. Now I'm going to go forward with our agenda again, and I'm going to ask Steve Turover from Oldham County Emergency Ambulance Service to be here, EMS. And Steve, thank you for being here and waiting patiently to have your turn. That was valuable information about the coronavirus and circumstances in the county. And And now we're happy to hear what's happening at EMS.
Okay, good afternoon. As the judge said, I'm Steve Turover. I'm a member of the Accident Ambulance Taxing Board. You all have a handout in your book. I'm going to go through those. This year we added line numbers down the left-hand side of the page, so it makes it easier to tell you what I'm talking about. So let's just start with line 11, which is the revenues, the money we have coming in. For this year, we've budgeted just over $5 million, and that actually represents a slight decline, but about 272,000 less than the year that just ended. So why is that? And if you look at our revenues, there are two items that stand out because they make up the bulk of the revenues. One is line 1, property taxes, and you can see that that just sort of continues at a slight increase. And the other one is line 5, patient fees. That's the area where the decline has occurred, and it's been like that since COVID started. For whatever reason, people don't call an ambulance, or when they call an ambulance, they don't want to be taken to the hospital. Just give me a Band-Aid and a pill, and I'll stay home. So whatever it is, the billings have dropped down. Now, they seem to have leveled out a little bit, but we're just assuming that over the next year, we're just not going to make that back. So that's where we have a slight decrease. Now, remember, that's money that we pass through to Baptist. So it's not like it's just out of our pocket. It actually ends up being out of their pocket. But we'll come back to that in a second. Okay. There's another thing we have in there. About 6 weeks ago, out of the clear blue, we got a check for $51,000 from Medicare for CARES, the government $2 billion thing. We didn't ask for it, it just showed up. But since it's for patient fees, because we do a lot of billing to Medicare, we've just forwarded that $51,000 on to Baptist, and it becomes part of the mix of money coming in and providing the services. We did not budget to have another flow of anything coming in this year, but it doesn't matter if it comes in. We book it as revenue, and then we expense it out as reimbursement to the hospital under the management service agreement. So $5 million coming in, about 95% of that going back out as operating expenses. Line 27, about $4.8 million. So there's your operating budget. 3 items make up the bulk of that. We're going to pay Baptist about $2.5 million this year, about 3% increase. This is the 8th renewal of this deal, so it's been going on for quite a while. We're very pleased with how it's been working out, and in fact, our arrangement, our partnership with Baptist Health has become a deal that other counties around the state, around the Commonwealth, have come to look at. And in fact, there are some places where similar kinds of things are being put in place. Now, it wasn't our intention to build a model for the future, but it seems to have come out that way to some extent. Continuing with the 3 items, line 20, there's the reimbursement, simply a mirror of what we bill and collect, turn it over to Baptist. And then the depreciation on line 26, we continue to upgrade our fleet. We've been buying, well, I think we covered this last year. We were, what do you call that, rehab the ambulance? Yeah. But then they changed the actual body that these ambulances come on. It's moved from a van chassis to a truck chassis. So we basically are replacing ambulances now rather than rehabilitating them. So it's about, let's say, we have 10 ambulances, probably. We're up to about halfway through the fleet at 1 per year. So we just continue to do that. We're also we're doing the same thing with our command vehicles. We had 4 command vehicles, and they were all, they were old. And it's just, you know, you get to where you're trying to get to a regular routine on how you do these things, so we're doing that. Okay, so we have one other item, line 28. This is the line where, at the end of each year, we reconcile with Baptist Health on how much we've paid them and how much they've spent to provide the service. To the extent that we've paid them more than they spent, we get half that difference back. On the other hand, if they end up spending more than we've given them, then we would be responsible for half of that difference. We'd have to pay them. So far, 8 years, we've managed to budget the fees so that we come out just about right. And you can see for the next year, 2021, we expect about 160,000 back. So we are getting this thing pretty close to even, but we don't want to be exactly even because we want to just come out a little bit ahead.
Just if I can summarize that for the newer members of the court, between the partnership between the EMS and the Baptist Healthcare is that we share gains and split losses. And in 8 years' time, we've had no losses.
Okay, so we get to line 29, net operating income. That is your revenues on line 11 and less your expenses on line 27, plus your other income gets you to just under $400,000 we expect this year. What do we use that for? Well, we're going to spend $465,000 on capital items. We don't have a list of them here, but I can tell you a new ambulance is $229,000. A new command car is $45,000. We've got $30,000 in there for replacing the overhead door at Buckner. We got some insurance proceeds, but that's in the prior year as miscellaneous income. But it's about $30,000 to replace that door. And then we've got the problem there where the doors were built for when we had van-sized ambulances, so we're changing the 2 doors to one big one so that the new ambulance will fit in there. And then the rest of that is pretty much medical items, but they're not always just a bunch of little things. For example, in this budget, we have 2 new defibrillators, and they're $40,000 apiece. So we're going to spend $80,000 for 2 new defibrillators. So then probably next year, some of those defibrillators are in the fire departments. We're buying them, but we're not using them.
That's a great program because we're able to get there before you guys are in a lot of cases and
Yep.
provide that service.
Okay, the next item that we show is the net cash flow. So if you take our net income, add back depreciation, because that's not cash, subtract out the capital items, because those are cash, we end up with a net cash flow of about $356,000 positive. And with that, we believe that maintaining our tax rate again, 4.74 for, I don't know, 7, 8 years.
8 for sure.
We haven't generated millions of dollars from that. We just barely break even. But we need to be a little bit ahead because aside from the financials, we are still operating off of our strategic plan that we did 3 or 4 years ago. And that involves how we cover the county as it expands. At the time when we did this study, there was about 60,000 people here. I don't know, I think we're up to 68,000 now. I'm not sure exactly where they are, so we will update that strategic document when we get the new census data. But right now, we are still looking for 2 things. One, we're looking for a place on 42, need about an acre, and that's because we don't have a place in North County. we've got ambulances parked in the fire department, and we appreciate that, but sometimes it doesn't work so well. So we would like to have our own place and then be able to expand it and track it as we see fit. In fact, what happens, we're using Skylight. We decided to park an ambulance over there at night so that we could sort of change how we were distributed around the county. And one day you get a phone call that says, hey, we're going to do something else at Skylight, come and get your ambulance. So that's the kind of thing we're trying to avoid in the future. And the other thing we're looking for is we need a new location for Crestwood. We have if I built that station, I'd be embarrassed to stand up here and tell you. But it's kind of outlived its usefulness. It doesn't meet ADA regulations. There's a whole bunch of problems there. So we've been looking to replace it. We don't need to replace it today because we can spend a few $1,000s, nothing exorbitant, to add another bathroom and do a few things like that, which would make it livable for the next few years. In fact, that station actually has a second bathroom and a shower upstairs on the level which the building inspector wouldn't let us use. So we're renegotiating. They've remeasured and decided that however you figure, if we could put a new set of stairs in there that meet the regulations, we could use that bathroom and that shower, then we wouldn't have to spend very much at all to continue to use this building until we can get out of there. And this building, where you come out on the bottom, it's all gravel, and then it blows dust through the whole building. It's just, I don't want to. We've been looking and talked to a lot of people about Crestwood. And I'd say right now, maybe the best prospect is the Jones Clore development. They have a spot that would work for an ambulance station. They won't be building for a number of years. That would fit in with our plan, give us a chance to build up a little more cash flow so we could actually buy some land and not have to borrow any money to do that. That's sort of where we're at. Questions?
Right, Measure Hawkins.
Thank you, that was very comprehensive. Okay, number 23, you talk about CPR class expenses. Up here at number 8, that there's a CPR income. Is that income from the classes? Do people
Yeah.
pay to take classes?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
So we're buying supplies and we are distributing them and charging a fee.
But there's a loss of about 5,000 in doing that?
Probably.
Okay. I was just wondering what that CPR number 8, exactly the income was.
Yeah, I've never actually gone to one of their classes. I can't tell you what they do or who comes, but
Okay.
we did just we have in this budget to buy a new mannequin. They've apparently worn out the old one.
Measure Dye.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Have you on your board had any conversations about the double taxation in the Worthington district?
I think that's been resolved. Maybe not forever, but for now.
Okay.
And we work out, just like you were talking about, who gets there first and all that. Worthington has been, their fire ambulances have been getting there a lot faster than we have now. But when we are able to build, it's not always going to be like that. For example, we have been discussing putting a place at Friendship Manor, and that's a place, they've got a nice little acre that would work right off of Friendship Drive. It's got a house on it, an old house. That's in, you know where it is because it's right behind your fire station. They tell us they want to keep that house. It has sentimental value. So, okay, forget it. You can't take a 1 acre place and put a house in the middle of it and try to build a station around it. So now they decided they don't need to keep the house, and it's kind of, so why would you build an ambulance station on the edge of the county? Well, how about if you built the station and it didn't cost you anything for the land? It's one of those $1 a year kind of lease deals, because their future plans would benefit from us having an ambulance station there. So,
Is that why, I don't know, Judge, maybe you can answer this. Did we sell all the land to MSD over there by the sewer plant?
Yes.
Okay, that, I know y'all had looked at that, but we had extra ground over there on Hit Lane, hitting hounds. But apparently that didn't go through. Okay, thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. I won't debate sitting right on the county line with a service that is going to constantly be heading north or east or west. I mean, I don't know. But saving money is one thing. I do know Friendship Manor has a plan, has future plans to expand significantly into long-term care and other things. So that, you know.
But that Friendship Manor, it's location next to the interstate, so where you can jump on and.
Yeah, well, you can get down there fast, right?
Yeah.
One thing about having blue lights and the siren is that you can move through traffic
Quickly.
faster than normal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody, oh, Magistrate Harrison, sorry.
Thank you, Judge. Are you in a position to explain, not in complete detail, but some detail, how an ambulance that's just made a run is then sanitized for the next run? That might ease the concern of some of the residents. They ought to be calling you if they need an ambulance.
I don't really think it's changed because they've always done that. So, I mean, my part of that was building the station over here in LaGrange, where I learned how they need enough space between the two ambulances when they park them so they can pull the stretcher and all that stuff out and do exactly what you're suggesting. So yes, we do that.
Well, they completely sanitize it.
Yeah.
And the cab is separated from the back, so there's
It
no
is.
transmission of pathogens or anything like that.
Right.
But they vacate it, and I guess it's equivalent to putting a
The UV, they're putting a UV
bomb or
light.
something in there.
It's a UV light system that they're using.
Yeah.
And then any time that we transport someone and it turns out to be a COVID case, we get notified and we have an arrangement with a hospital to send that person, that EMT or a paramedic, to send them in for a test after they've transported someone who turns out to be positive.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comprehensive report.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate all the board members and the work they do. Thank you. Right, the next item on today's agenda has to do with the bills under county administration, section A. You ready? We'll pay the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll be down on item B, surplus property for the Parks and Recreation Department. Kevin, did you want to say anything about that?
Good afternoon. With our auction being delayed, Parks had some more additional materials that they were able to surplus, a couple of Dixie choppers, a vehicle, and a couple of trailers. And along with that, I will say we tentatively right now have the auction rescheduled for August 15th. I guess we'll kind of see how things are going, but right now, I've talked to our auctioneer, and we have it scheduled for Saturday, August 15th.
When, please?
Right?
What's the date again?
Saturday, August 15th.
Thank you.
Judge, do you need a motion to put?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow these items from the Parks and Recreation Department to be put in the auction in August, please.
I'll second that.
That's right.
A motion to
Motion to
surplus.
right. Any discussion here? Magistrate Hounds?
Magistrate Greenwell, when you were down there, we're only surplusing 2 mowers. Were there more mowers that you thought we needed to surplus? I mean, it seemed like in the conversation, we had a lot more mowers than 2.
There were a total of 6 mowers that were in surplus. Possibly some of those could have parts taken off of them, but the 2 that they put into the auction, they have none that are running like that, so it made no sense to keep those. I'm not sure about the other mowers.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item has to do with the first reading of a zoning map amendment for 5701 and 5701 and 5801 Hounds Lane. Amy, would you like to go through that? And I do believe we'll have two magistrates who will abstain from participation.
Sure, this is
in
just,
discussion.
this is just your first reading. We will have a full public hearing. Notices went out today, and as soon as I get done here, I'm gonna go post the property for the public hearing that will be on August the 4th. So this, I think, Mr. Carter, if you confirm, this just ordinance needs to be summarized into the record for the first reading? Do you want me to just
Go
read the
ahead,
first
sure.
paragraph? Okay. So an ordinance relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map, rezoning a 2.11 acre tract located at 5701 and 5801 Hounds Lane, Louisville, Kentucky, from the existing R2 residential district zoning classification to I1 light industrial district classification. So I think that pretty much summarizes the request. And like, again, we will have a full public hearing on August the 4th.
Right, and this material will be posted on our website.
Yes, it will. And just please, I put a big bright orange sticker on your packets. Be sure and bring those packets back to your August 4th meeting, please. Go ahead.
All right, thank you,
Are we
Amy.
allowed to ask questions right now or no?
Minor clarification, but it's not the hearing.
Okay, I would like a clarification.
Okay.
Okay, normally when we do a change in zoning, we have a plan, and I know from what I've read in this, there's no plan, it was just for the future so would the plan be that there is no plan?
There is a plan that is in your packet. Fiscal court only votes on the zoning map amendment, not the development plan. So you only have jurisdiction over the review and approval of the zoning change request. Fiscal court or legislative bodies do not approve the true development plan that is on there. So you have in your packet the development plan that the planning commission approved pending the zoning change. So these are all existing buildings and
Right.
structures.
That's what it sounded like.
Correct. So they're rezoning a portion that the entire track is 8.39 acres. 2.11 of that is zoned residential. The other 6+ acres is zoned light 1 industrial. So they want to rezone the 2 acres to industrial. So the whole entire track will be industrial.
But in this, I didn't, and perhaps I missed it, but there's no plan for new build, is that right?
Correct.
Okay,
So they're going to repurpose the existing structures that are already there.
okay. So that's what I was looking for. The plan is, part of the plan is no rebuild.
No new
No
construction.
new build,
No
right,
new
no new
construction at this
construction.
point, correct.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
The next item under contracts and resolutions, item D, the continuity of government for Oldham County. Here you have a resolution that we have prepared for in the event of a disruption of government services due to a disaster or an emergency, how our government would continue to function. And you'll see in here that, of course, I'm the county judge executive. If I'm incapacitated, the day-to-day authority would transfer to the deputy judge executive, Kevin Nuss. If I'm incapacitated and unable to function, magistrate Steve Greenwell is the senior magistrate on the court and would be the person who would conduct the fiscal court meetings. Other magistrates are in order of their ability to participate. If Steve is unavailable, would be Magistrate Wayne Tice, Magistrate Bob Dye, Magistrate Brent Likens, Magistrate Michael Logston, Magistrate Chris Hounds, Magistrate Albert Harrison, and Magistrate Stephanie Hawkins. These magistrates are listed here as in their order of rank as far as participation, membership on the fiscal court, also alphabetically. So if two magistrates are on for the same length of time, they've been listed alphabetically in the rank order that their last name would dictate, going alphabetically. And then we do have some other offices here, essential offices, of course. Greg Smith is the chief of police. If he were not available, Major Johnson would take over, followed by Sergeant Kriegler and Sergeant Brown. Other essential offices are emergency management. That would be Jerry Nart. His deputy is Kevin Parker. The central dispatch is operated by Tim Keel. The supervisor to follow Tim would be Mickey Tolles. So also, of course, the county essential county service is treasurer. Melissa Horn is the treasurer. Stan Clark would take her place if she's not available. Polly Helton is our animal control officer. Tammy Smith would be her substitute. And Ben Kimbler is our acting road superintendent. And Sidney Funk is his assistant road superintendent, would take his place if they're not available. So we have this, these listings here in regard to emergency services, essential services. We certainly don't expect anything to happen, but we're all fragile, and none of us knows what the next day holds for any of us. So this is our continuity of government, and I'd ask now that this resolution be approved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on it? Magistrate Harrison?
Thank you, Judge. It probably doesn't make any difference, but there's a slight difference from page 2 over to page 3 as far as the order. Because it looks like they ought to be the same, but on page 2, we go Greenwell, Tice, Dye, and then Lichens. And on page 3, we go to Lichens first and then Dye.
Yes, they should be. That's a correction. Should be in the same order.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Magistrate Greenwell?
Judge, is this different than what should be done at the beginning of a term to lay this out, or is it the same thing?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
But, I'm not sure why Jerry Nart generated this, just,
Well, we didn't do it at the beginning of the term.
was that it?
Yeah,
No.
so I just was curious.
Kevin's coming up, Judge.
okay, Kevin, right. I'm glad you would let you, we couldn't,
answer that question. This is not a new document, this is a revision of a document. The last time it was done when I was EMA director, and it was probably around 2013 or 2014. Jerry realized it hadn't been updated and wanted it to be updated. So
See.
it partly my fault for not updating it when the new term came in, and then he got around to it a few months ago. So we're just getting it updated.
Okay, thank you.
Judge.
Magistrate Hounds?
So on page 5, we talk about facilities for Oldham County government, and I guess maybe this is a comment to the treasurer, Ms. Melissa Horn, but on these buildings, do we have the stuff in place to continue, or I was afraid you were going to shake your head that direction. Okay.
Those were just areas that the county owned that if we had to vacate this building, those are the areas that we would go to.
Okay, so we still have some work to do as far as getting them prepared, maybe? Is that the right term, or? Okay.
It would not be pretty if we had to vacate
I
and go
understand.
somewhere else, but those are the areas we would go to.
Okay.
Right, that's community center, police department, road department. Those are, and of course, obviously, the community center is the only place that's big enough to accommodate all the offices. We couldn't all pile into the police department. There's
Oh, yeah, that'd be
not
a
enough space to
nightmare.
go there, right.
It'd be a nightmare.
Right, pray to God, we never have to execute.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the
Any
best.
part of this plan, all right.
Exactly.
All right. Did we have a motion? Was there a motion on that, please?
Yes,
Yes.
It was.
I second it.
Measure die, measure pounds, all right. Any further discussion on it? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item has to do with the collection of grant for a closeout for our waste tire, and Becky Zocklin is here.
Thank you, Judge and members of the Fiscal Court. Good afternoon.
This document is simply a closeout from the 2019-2020 $4,000 tire collection grant that we used in the last fiscal year. Every year, we're given $4,000 for disposing and recycling waste tires that have been brought to the recycling center. And in the past year, we spent $3,131 on tire recycling, and we recycled 1,039 tires throughout the year. So there will be a refund sent or requested from the state and sent to them in the amount of $869. So I'm asking you to give the judge permission to sign this report to send to Frankfurt.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Item F, the Goshen Hills Drainage Improvement Phase 1, consent and release forms.
Good afternoon. What you have are consent and release forms for the project which you opened bids for earlier today. As part of that project, the permanent structures will be in an existing 10-foot easement between four pairs of properties. However, in order to complete the work, we need, the contractor who's awarded the project needs to be outside the existing permanent easement. So these are forms to allow that contractor to work outside the easement during the construction period. We've been coordinating with these property owners, the 8 owners, to get them signed. I think what you have, 6 of the 8 are signed. I've gotten 1 more signed, and I'm coordinating with the last one. So what I'm asking is that the court approve to have the judge authorized to sign those. Any questions?
Are these construction easements
They're basically temporary right of entry for construction.
I'll make a motion that judge approve these consent and release forms.
Second.
All right, discussion, Magistrate Dye.
Jim, is there any money changing hands here for just the use on a temporary basis?
No, sir.
Magistrate Hawkins.
And then any damage that might occur on the private property would be the responsibility of the county, is that correct?
It would be within the contract. They shall return everything on the property to a better or equal condition
Okay.
than when they started.
I know sometimes in these situations, you have to remove trees or to access. Is any of that going to be a problem here?
There will be tree removals. We've coordinated with the owners. Some of them don't want the trees back. They don't want to clean up the leaves.
Okay, in the case if they do, would the county then provide?
It would be in the contract.
Okay.
Or when I say in the contract, it'd be in the bid that you opened earlier.
So is the last person to sign, or the last 2, were there things that needed to be negotiated?
They had a little bit more specific detail they wanted included.
Okay.
So again, we addressed one of them. The other is nearing that completion.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anybody else? Okay. Did we have a motion on this? No motion yet. Somebody like to make a motion?
Give a motion.
I did.
Brent made it, and
Brent
Wayne
went first.
seconded.
Brent and Wayne.
Brent and Wayne, all right. No further discussion on this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Now, the next item, Jim, is yours as well. Park and Ride in Crestwood. We've got some maintenance issues there to take care of.
Yes, in December and earlier this year, the new Park and Ride facility that's located in Crestwood, just north of 71 on Highway 329, was completed. It's a nice and fairly large facility that has a lot of green area, so that needs to be mowed, and it was, I guess, out of scope for our road department to take this on. So we got quotes. There's the company that mows for Pillar provided the low quote. Obviously, they're already there working for Pillar, so they were able to provide this quote. The numbers I've got in there are based on, if we were to assume they mowed once per week for 9 months, that's where the $8,800 comes from. So it's kind of a not to exceed. If they don't mow that many times in a year because of the weather, then it could be less than this amount. Also included is a $1,100 alternate if you'd like to approve for them to also clean up the shrubs and mulch.
All right, is there a motion that we enter into this contract? Magistrate Dye? Second, anybody?
Second.
Magistrate Likens, all right. Any discussion? Magistrate Tice?
When we were first doing the park and ride property and everything, that was a pass-through to the Crestwood City, am I correct or wrong?
Yes, but the agreement was that they would take care of the roads and do the plowing in the park and ride area, and we would take care of the grass cutting and,
Okay, so that falls back on us. I
Right.
was thinking that this was all part of the Crestwood agreement, so that even going forward with maintenance, it would stay in the Crestwood realm of responsibility. Not
no,
so.
we looked at that contract and
Okay.
we're on the hook for the mowing.
Right, and the parking area, while the road is being taken over by Crestwood, the parking area outside is county property.
Well, if we've discussed it as a matter before, I don't remember it, so I was just thinking everything, so as I was reviewing this the other day, I assumed that this was a pass-through also, but it's obviously not. Fine.
Magistrate Greenwell?
Thank you. Is there any way we can swap with Crestwood and come out on the better side of that by doing the plowing? Secondly, I noticed the other night on the news that TARC is not going to run buses out to certain places in Oldham County, and I don't know how many they run now, but is this going to be like a ghost town for a little while?
No, because that facility still will operate as a ride share. So people who are carpooling, and when I've been there to check out the condition, the maintenance condition, there's usually cars parked there where people are apparently ride sharing. In addition to, people are using it somewhat as a park. People are just walking. It's got a nice little pavilion area. There's the pond by the chapel, so it's multifunction. So while the bus may not be stopping there, it'll still get use, I think.
Yeah, we're really disappointed about them pulling out the bus service, but apparently the ridership is not enough to justify it right now. And
$2 gasoline.
yeah, right. The gas is too cheap, and there may not be that many people wanting to go right downtown anymore either. And the park and ride, we're working with the KIPTA to get there is ride sharing there now, but to get park and ride vehicles there that people can use and set up to have their own carpooling. So we think it's going to be used. It is nice, and I'm disappointed in TARC, but we just don't have any leverage. Magistrate Hounds.
So Jim, this is, not normally comes out of the engineering office, so you paying for this?
No, it will, and it's not planned, I don't think, to come out of the engineering budget. I had kind of initiated getting the quotes just because we'd been involved in the inspection and the completion with Jim Urban and planning of the project itself. So we carried that forward, and I think, is there a discussion still to be had on what budget item to bring it out of?
Yeah, I'm not sure we've actually nailed down where it's coming from, but
Okay.
it just.
So, and the other question is, well, I guess you answered, this was all part of the agreement from back 16 years ago or 22 years ago, however long it was since we've been working on this project.
Right.
I don't want to
Yes.
give Bob credit for this. though.
Right, no, this was part of the deal. Apple Patch provided the property, we got the land, worked together with Crestwood. I, agree with Magistrate Greenwell that, given the winter conditions for the last couple of years, we'd be on the high side of the teeter-totter if we were doing the plowing. But just the way it goes, But they're there, the people that are going to do the plowing, and the grass cutting. So Jim has gotten this as competitively as priced as we can.
Appears to be.
Measure die.
I'll commend you on the pricing. It is good pricing, 'cause I'm involved in some of this myself. One thing you may want to consider, since somebody should consider it, and you'll be the guy since you took this on, all of this is sod, and this is the first season the sod's been down, and I don't see any in the contract for fertilization. And you might want to talk to your grass guy and say, you know, what do we need to do to, because if we go into a drought area, you may be looking at straw next year, and looking at the seeding situation. So you may want to take care of this. It might cost you a little more on the front end, but to reseed and water will cost you a whole lot more on the back end.
It's taken off. Hopefully it'll continue and not suffer from a drought, but we would have to address that no matter what. I think you're
Well,
right.
you can't be too late on the drought.
Right.
Once it's brown, it's too late.
Right.
All right, I think we had a motion and a second on this. And so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'm going to take the next item here, and we're all aware that the CARES Act, we've all heard about it, and CARES Act funding has been provided for Oldham County Fiscal Court through the state of Kentucky, and also every municipality in the Oldham County has gotten some CARES Act money. Now, our particular allocation is $2,274,252. That was, my understanding, all divided up according to population at a certain point, and that's how that number was arrived at. The number of things are eligible. They're supposed to be things that have some connection to fighting the virus, although law enforcement we're able to apply for law enforcement expenses against the CARES Act from March 1st of 2020. So law enforcement would pretty much cover our entire bill, but our entire opportunity, let me put it that way. But that was already budgeted for, so I'm thinking of this as an additional amount of money to help us throughout the general fund, and not particularly, we're going to obviously designate expenses that go with that. And I believe that, do we have any expenses in here today to do this with, Melissa? We've set up an account, but I don't think if we had any reimbursement yet from anything. No, we have to set up the account, right. We've been doing paperwork back and forth a couple of times with Frankfurt. We were advised to get our account set up, but the setup was really a 2 or 3 step process, not a 1-step. But this will get us all lined up so when we start submitting expenses, we'll be ready to go. So, is there a motion to allow me to sign this?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go on to personnel actions here. Tina, are you here somewhere? Okay.
I think you were, Magistrate Harrison had added Magistrate Communications. at J.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. You're right, Tina, hold on a second, Tina.
He said J.
No, I was going to put that after personnel.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. We have some personnel actions here. We have, in maintenance, we have retirement for Kenny Randolph. He's been with us for 17 years. He's retiring at the end of the month. We have, in planning and development services, we have a termination, Daryl Townsend, and that's effective July 17th. We wish him well. And do you want me to go through all of them, Judge, or how do you want to do?
I guess we'll, we can do them one at a time. All right, is there a motion we accept Kenny Randolph's retirement?
I move that.
Second.
All right, discussion. I think we want to thank Kenny for everything he has done. 17 years is a long time. Kenny has been a good hard worker, and he's generally here before the sun comes up in the morning, and works first shift, gets a lot of things off the ground and going. So we appreciate Kenny, and we wish him the best in retirement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item here, Darrell Townsend is listed as a termination, but Darrell has serious health issues, and so he, isn't old enough to retire, but he's certainly, we have to classify it as something. So, but he's used up the benefits that are available. So, Tina, would you like to add anything to that?
As far as.
Right, so he's not, we don't want to give the impression that Darrell is being terminated. He's not being terminated. He's forced to say goodbye because of health conditions, and he's done a great job for us in the planning and zoning as our code enforcement officer, and we certainly have Darrell in our prayers and wish him the very best possible in the future here.
Right, he was retired from the correctional facility.
Yeah, he was retired when he came to us, and
Exactly.
we're very sorry the circumstance that's come up. But is there a motion to accept this termination?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item is the promotion to Ben Kimbler to interim road superintendent at $26.19 an hour. This would be for 90 days. We've had, some adjustments in the road department, and Ben has been there a good long while. I'd like to give him an opportunity to see what he can do, and we'll come back and review this in September, I believe would be about 90 days. Is there a motion to accept this promotion?
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? Magistrate Hounds?
So, Judge, if we go back to where we were, or we bring somebody in, then does Ben go back to assistant?
We had asked Ben to take over and be the stormwater lead. As you know, there's been a lot of discussion about having a stormwater team, and we've grappled with this, and we've asked for identification of roads that people want handled for stormwater. I think we have a list of stormwater. We're trying to put emphasis on that position, and I asked him to be the point man on that, which he agreed to be. He was our assistant road superintendent, but I asked him to take the stormwater and go out and do that. So, but if he is not retained as interim superintendent, then he would go on to be stormwater manager.
Okay.
Ace Greenwell.
Thank you. Tina, when somebody steps in an interim spot, don't they get the halfway point between, and is that what this is?
It's 8% ex-pay.
How much?
8.
Okay, thank you.
If they're not at the minimum of the next grade, but he was already there.
Okay.
So.
All right, any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next change there would be a promotion, Sydney Funk to assistant superintendent at $25.25 an hour, effective July 15th. Of course, many of you know Sydney. He's been a very effective inside person at the road department, and has done a tremendous amount of work on equipment, and has done a good job there, and was assisting with the different paperwork duties in the road department, and so I'd like to see him have this position. Is there a motion to accept that? Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now we're down to school resource officers. Tina, would you like to extrapolate on this?
We have the same contract from last year, same 9 officers, school resource officers. Nothing's changed. It's the same rate of pay for 1 year. and it is the total of 9 officers, and they're all listed here, and I've attached the contracts. They're all the same, except you just change the name and the addresses on the officers.
Judge, I'll make the motion, we renew these contracts with these school resource officers.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
When we started this 2 years ago, were they employed for the full 12 months, or was it just the months that they were in school?
They're employed for the full 12 months by contract, but they only work when school's in session. There are times when the police department does use them, though, if they're shorthanded.
So, okay, but the school board pays when they're working at the school, but when they're not working at the school, they're working for us and we're paying them. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm aware of.
Right, that's
Yes.
correct, but they function as contract police.
Okay,
For us.
so they don't get, during the months that they're not school resource officers, they don't get a regular paycheck, just only when they work, or?
Right. When they work, they would get their paycheck.
Okay.
But they don't get any retirement or benefits or anything like that. They
But we
still
obviously have to have them under contract before they can work for us.
Exactly,
I got you.
without those
Okay.
items, yes.
Right, so we have used them in the summer for overtime situations, or we've also had them on I-71 for stepped-up enforcement out there.
I actually saw 2 of the vehicles parked at the high school parking lot the other day in the middle of the week, and.
They're over there starting up and doing some things.
Okay.
Measured hounds.
Judge, I was fortunate to be part of Leadership Oldham County before COVID happened. And I just want to share a very quick story about the school resource officers. Chief Collette with LaGrange Police used to be one of our school resource officers. And someday we need to bring him in maybe and some of the school resource officers so they could share the story. It is a great program that we're doing. We may never know a finite number, but some of the stories that are coming out from the parents and from the school resource officers is pretty nice. We've done a great thing here, and it's showing the camaraderie between the officers and the students and the faculty. So it is really a good thing. If you don't know about it, I encourage you to call Chief Collette with LaGrange Police and have him share the story that he has with you.
Thank you. All right, now let's move on to the next item. Item J here that was added. Magistrate Harrison would like to talk about magistrate communication.
Thank you, Judge. I think you call it magistrate communication or lack thereof. I was somewhat surprised when we were going through the budget review earlier this year to learn of projects for the very first time that I knew nothing about, despite the fact I've been sitting here for a year. Committees seem to be self-contained. They're like silos on a farm. They're not connected. They don't communicate with each other. And I think that's a poor use of the resources and assets we've got. I think there should be more communication among the different committees. I think each committee chair should send out an agenda and a notice for every committee meeting that committee is having, as well as being sure to post the minutes of that meeting in the binders that are in the judge's office area. And numerous times I've made phone calls and sent emails to other magistrates requesting information. It's nothing that big. I just take a couple of minutes to respond, and some of us are really good at responding, and others are really not even bad at it. They just don't respond. I don't know how to address that, because I think certain courtesies should just be automatically observed by each one of us due to our position as supposed leaders in the county. Not quite sure how to manage this or mandate it or what to do with it, but we can do better than what we are doing. And I would appreciate anybody's help on it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else like to, respond on that? I think it's a good idea after the minutes are prepared to let we try to let everybody know. It is posted, I believe, on our calendars when each committee is meeting. Sometimes you can miss one, but I think it's a good idea to share the minutes, send out the minutes from each committee meeting to everyone, and that would help communications flow.
It would help us internally, but then it still leaves the public in the dark, because they really don't have any mechanism to know what any one committee is doing or not doing. And maybe we ask our department heads to give a department report to us periodically. Maybe on a staggered basis, we could make various committees responsible for reporting to the court, to the public, just what that committee is doing.
All right. That's an idea, all right.
Thank you.
I think we could certainly probably find on our website someplace to post committee minutes as well. I mean, it's,
Much of my district does not have internet.
pardon? Well, yeah, we're trying to get it. We're trying to get it. We're working with lit communities, and speaking of lit communities, we're working on putting together a very comprehensive survey for the entire county that would, they've identified every, working with our GIS, identified every home, business location in Oldham County. We have a map established. We are putting together a very comprehensive survey. It's comprehensive, not in the detail of the questions so much as the information we'll receive back from people participating in this survey. We'd like to know what people have, what their up and down service is, how fast it is, who their service provider is, where service is located, where it's not. And from that information that we'll put together using our Kentucky Wired backbone, a network to create a spider web of coverage out throughout the county. Some county service may be above ground, some below ground, some through wireless communication. We're excited about the direction that we're moving, and like everything else, you can conceptualize things a lot quicker than you can actually bring them online. But we are moving. We've had meetings with, I think, 6 or 7 meetings with lit communities through Zoom. Lit Communities has pulled together experts from across the country in different disciplines. It's amazing. We'll have a meeting with Lit Communities, and there'll be 5 other people on this meeting, and none of them will be in the same location. They're all across the United States weighing in on what their particular skill set and aspect is to help us move this forward. So we'll be having something soon on that. I hope maybe 30 days or so. We're getting a lot closer to launching our survey, and our survey is going to give us an unbelievable amount of information that we'll be able to move forward with and bring back to the court on what's happening. It is the question you raise about lack of service is out there. Some people have good service, and we think this will all drive the price down. It's interesting. As soon as I won't say I better take that back. I'll just say once it became known, we were talking to other people. Kevin and I received a visit from Spectrum wanting to talk about how they were going to expand service. So
Funny how that works.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Yeah, right. So, and we also have in the northwest part of the county a Silica Broadband, a local provider who's working, and I think I've heard only good things about the service he's providing, and he's, I believe, trenching everything so to keep the wires in the ground. So we're be certainly very willing to work with him, and I hope eventually we will get to a spot where we have an open access network where everybody in this county will be connected, and you'll be able to pick and choose service providers that are not anywhere in this region now. You may want local ones. You may want them from anywhere in the country will be able to be accessed. And so it's what's coming is going to be amazing. It's just going to, it's going to take a while to unfold it, but we're going to get there. So, well, I think we're at the end of our meeting here, more or less. So let's see if anybody would like to make any additional comments for our community. Magistrate Logston. Magistrate Dye.
Nothing.
Magistrate Hawkins.
I wanted to mention that if it's all right to mention, the John Black Center is now taking groups back in because the governor's mandate recently doesn't cover private events. So our Parks Director is taking groups for private events if that's something that you're interested in doing at this point in the pandemic.
Right, we're trying to walk the line of observing the governor's requirements, being open to the community, not closing everyone off, but providing safety and encouraging safety. And I'll address that a little more in just a second.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right, Magistrate Hounds.
Everybody's working towards the same goal, I think, to get the kids back in school on August the 12th or thereabouts, depending on where you go to school, and would encourage everybody to help make that date happen and whatever needs to be done. I love my kids, but summer break started on March the something, and it's now in July. I'm ready for them to go back to school.
On a bus, right?
No, they'll be in the car, but that's fine.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. I just want to say it's good to be back in the building. It's been a long time, and just I'm glad to be here with people. And we will have one more meeting before school starts, so hopefully we'll have some more updates then.
Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. On Military Observance Days, the 27th of this month is the Korean War Veterans Armistice Day. And then the next one coming up, at the same day, we have our next meeting, August 4th, and that's the birthday for the Coast Guard. At this time, I'd like to invite all recipients of the Purple Heart Medal in Oldham County to come to that meeting on August 4th and be recognized by the court with the court's indulgence. August 7th is National Purple Heart Day, and I know we have many people in the county who have received that. The replacement bridge on Highway 1488, also Orkin Creek Road, is pretty close to being finished. They will drive across it this afternoon when they go home from work. They were paving today, the guardrails coming in. They hope to have it completely finished and open for business on Monday. Anyone who's interested, I invite you to come down to the bridge at noon on Friday so we can say a little thank you to the crew, because I don't know how many of you got outdoor jobs, but they have put in some miserable days in this kind of weather. Here's an exciting note. I observed mowing actually occurring along Highway 42 this morning and also on 524. And I just hope they get done before anything shuts them down. But we've been waiting quite a while for that. On a sad note, we lost the former PVA of Oldham County, Jim McWilliams, Monday of last week. Jim was a PVA for, I'm not sure how many years, but it was more than a couple of decades. And he succeeded his father, Buddy McWilliams, who held the job for even longer before that. So a very quiet individual, but those of us who knew him will really miss him. No services are planned. Thank you.
Thank you. Our sympathy is extended to the McWilliams family. Magistrate Tice.
Don't have anything today. Thank you, Judge.
Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. Just real quickly, the 4th of July fireworks were great. I appreciate the county putting those on every year. Wish more people would show up. It's quite a show.
All right, thank you. I'm going to refer back to Magistrate Hawkins here for just a second. Our community center is accepting invitations or appointments to use the facility within limited circumstances, limited number of people. Everybody will have to observe all social distancing and mask requirements that the governor has issued. We're all trying to work around this difficult circumstance, and we urge everyone to obviously do what you can do and need to do to stay safe. We have a couple events coming up here that frankly I didn't ask Carissa Gamsky about when she was here, but we're both very concerned about these events. One of them is Arts Out in the Green at Udell coming up. Is it this Saturday? I believe it's soon. Pardon? Did it cancel? Arts on the Green, that was set for Udell Gardens, and I don't know what the circumstance is. Did she cancel that? Pardon? Yeah, all right, I might have missed it. All right, we don't want to be in a position to discourage people from doing things, but there are just some things that don't seem to fit under the circumstances. Another one that I've been approached about, know about, is the fair. There's let's say the fair board, people on the fair board want to put on a fair. I'm very concerned about that. I think I have it within my authority to cancel the fair, but I haven't done so. I don't really know exactly what to do. I don't want to ruin it for them, but I don't want to expose people to a bad situation. The fair board representatives that have come to see me have insisted that they're going to get everybody's name and phone number. They're going to require masks. They're going to require social distancing, that the rides at the fair will be cleaned thoroughly, continuously by the fair operator. Brought to my attention that the state fair has not been canceled, and the same group that's putting rides on at the state fair are the group that's putting the rides on here. So what do we do about this? It's a rock and a hard place situation. I just say if the fair goes forward and you decide to attend the fair, or your kids that want to go there, you must communicate the social distancing, the masks, and you have to make that decision as a parent for yourself. As you heard, we had a party that was put on by kids at North Oldham High School. A number of people got sick at that party. At least one confirmed coronavirus in that group, maybe more. I'm not positive at this point, but this is nothing to fool around with. I think all of us, I won't mention a local pastor's name who was in the hospital, but many of us know him. He's in his mid-50s. He's been struggling very hard to get through this. And you read about this, and this is not a game. This is a serious situation. So I urge everybody to use caution. Pardon? Arts on the Green is canceled. All right, that must have just been done today. Was that today? Or was they did it? All right, well, okay. Magistrate Harrison, it's not just communication among the fiscal court members, it's communication with the county judge too. Yeah, right though.
We've had that for years.
Well, what about I think the Chamber of Commerce had an event scheduled. Has that been canceled? The what? The golf is still on. The golf is still on. Well, okay. All right, I'll just say, if you participate in something, heads up. That's all I guess we can say. All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor, please say aye.
I don't know everybody well enough.